This is Darklingbird, your host for today's daily Township Tale updates. It is July 10th, 2022, day 16. Today is Special Guest Sunday. Here's our special guest for today.
Hey everybody, it's Autherathonapistathorathaniel, and as a published author and award-winning author, I'm categorically better than you. Anyway, here's something I didn't write. It's a green text, one of my favorite green texts, and I hope you enjoy it. Get a hankering for some RP and cruise a couple forums. Something catches my eye. Some kind of weird combination of stuff from Dragon Ball Z, Gurren Lagann, Avatar The Last Airbender, and a few other themes from different shows. Basically, anime the game. Honestly, kind of a cool setting after reading through it. Superpowered dudes wander around doing their own thing, having adventures and trying to stop evil shadows from consuming the world. Looks cool. Sign up, start making a character. Characters had attributes, strength, speed, the usual shit, traits and powers chosen from a big list, and spirit, which you used for doing all the cool shit. Had a certain number of points to spend on attributes, max strength and put some into speed, endurance, and a couple into charm. Wanted to try to be a brawler type guy. I get to why that idea was a bad one later. Look at spirit rules before picking powers because I want to do as much cool shit as possible. Spend spirit to activate powers. Different powers modified how spirit worked and gave it an elemental alignment, which modified damage and other crap. Basically, let you spend 1 point of spirit to get 5 points of fire damage. Pretty neat. There was also raw spirit, which had no modifier, but also no elemental alignment and couldn't be resisted. Less bang for your buck, but could be useful. Raw spirit could also be used to raise a stat temporarily, but the higher the stat, the more spirit you had to spend. Spirit had a cap depending on your attribute. At lower levels, it was pretty low, like 10 or 20, if you got lucky. With my stat layout, I had 5. Great. Look through the powers list to see if I can unscrew my character. Browse through list, pretty basic stuff. Throw fire, control shadows, frost breath, whatever. Also mundane powers like sword fighting and free running. Choose unarmed combat right off the bat, because I want to punch people. Still a bad idea. Keep looking, see something interesting tucked away in the list. Overflowing spirit. Pretty expensive points-wise for a simple power, but my eyes lit up at what it did. Removes the spirit cap, plus some other crap, which I glanced over at the time, but more on that later. Oh dang, now that's pretty abusable. Figure everybody takes it, so I'll take it too. Take Battle Cry for a spirit buff and to blow the last of my power points, and my character's pretty much done. Name him Edgardo, because it sounded cool at the time. Ready to go, Edgardo the Brawler sets out on his quest to do whatever. Start in the central town where everybody else hangs out, introduce myself, describe him as hot-blooded, hot-tempered, courageous, and always itching for an adventure. Honestly, he's a pretty flat character, but whatever, I thought he was okay. But I promptly get laughed at for making such a naive and lowbrow character. Apparently, everyone else has made brooding anti-heroes who sit in a dark corner and don't really do much of anything. I swear the tower must have been some sort of 8th-dimensional non-Euclidean shape because everyone was in their own damn corner away from everyone else. But the last straw came from some asshole drinking his wine at the bar. Edgardo is such a stupid name. Boy, did that trigger me. Edgardo did not walk in here to be mocked by a bunch of trenchcoat-wearing pricks that are trying to be edgier than a damn razor blade factory. I take a swing and quickly discover how well and truly screwed I am. Apparently, unarmed combat was hosed from the start, as fists don't do shit even against the lightest armor and don't get damage multipliers. Fantastic. Blow a spirit point, just to get past his armor and do single-digit damage. The man stands up, and he laughs at me. Care to try again, you pathetic wretch? I use Battle Cry, and I can't think of anything, so I go with the only thing that popped in my head and go, Banzai! And use the rest of my spirit points. Nothing happens. He dodges, draws his swords, gives an eye-rolling disappear before he blasts me out of the tavern with sword, lightning, whatever the hell. Spend a 1 spirit point, and I nearly get one shot. Even with a good amount of endurance, he can just go right through me. So I'm bleeding, out on the side of the road, and I take time to browse other characters. First up is the sword lightning asshole. He's basically the same level as me, but he's better in every way. His powers are better, he's got higher spirit, he's got good stats. It's more my fault, really, because I messed up my character creation. Browse more characters and notice something. No one has overflowing spirit. No one. I ask why, and it turns out if you make even a decent character, you have more than enough spirit to do whatever the hell you want, and even the highest characters only have about 100 cap, and it's rare to get halfway down in a normal fight. And then there was the part I skipped over. Overflowing spirit prevents you from taking elemental powers. You're basically stuck using raw spirit, which was garbage. Elemental spirit had damage modifiers so high that even if you resisted it, you still took a good amount of damage. Neato Burrito. Edgardo was basically useless against everything, and since I was screwed, I PM'd a mod to see if I could make a new character that wasn't crippled beyond belief, and the mod replied to me, "Lol, deal with it, you made it, you play it." So just to recap, everyone's a pretentious piece of crap, the mods don't care, and Edgardo is beyond worthless. Amazing start. I pick myself up out of the dirt and limp away to get healed. But, nope, I was broke, so I couldn't get anything. I'd have to sit my ass down and wait to heal naturally, which would take literal days. And screw that, I'm already tired of this, so I make an attempt to steal a potion. And boy, did that not work. Enter Militant Zero, spelled with an X and a 0. Yes, that was his name, and I cringed too. He was an omnipotent character, number 4,782, and could do anything he wanted because he had been with the RP the longest. I also suspect that he and the admins had a relatively close relationship, mouth-to-mouth wise, but whatever. Teleports to me instantly. I can't do anything because I'm basically dead on my feet. Lifts me into the air with magic psychic bullshit so I can't even run, and he starts going on a long speech about crime and how evildoers should be punished and how he's the best and how blah 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 blah. Then he gives me an ultimatum. Beg for mercy, and I might just let you stay in this town, otherwise I'll throw you to the shadows. But no, Edgardo does not beg. I struggle, I swear I spit, and basically do anything that I can, everything that I can to get out of this. But no, I get thrown through the roof of the building I was in and soar all the way out into the wilderness. Well, I'm dead. Fortunately, newbies get one free revive, and I cash mine in. Zero gets super mad and whines to the mods about it, says I'm dead for good because wah, I say so, and I'm so cool, and I call him out on his bullcrap, and immediately gets shot down by everybody in the community. Suddenly I'm the bad guy for trying to steal and picking a fight. Yeah, okay, sure. Mods calm everybody down, says I'm alive with 1 health in the wilderness. Last bit of charity I'm getting, I won't even survive the night. But then I meet a guy called Squid. That was his name. A guy called Squid. Beast folk were things, so people could have cat girls and wolf men and stuff like that. A guy called Squid was, well, part squid. Literally the biggest, most muscly dude, but with a squid for a head. And he insisted that everybody used his full name when talking to him, no shortening it to Squid. You said the full thing. A guy called Squid. Pretty cool dude. Ran into the same troubles as I did. Was a punchy guy like myself, but he punched people with fire. He helped me out, shared a potion, and was generally a bro. We both decided to stick together and train out here because we both needed to get a lot stronger before we headed back into town. It wasn't going to be nearly that easy. Got to nighttime, me and Squid set up camp in a cave. Suddenly, shadows, because mod bullshit and Zero whined enough that I was still alive, was pretty messed up, but I could hold my own, and Squid was in perfect shape. Still, we barely survived, mainly because Squid's fire damage was beastly compared to my weak raw spirit. We both agreed that we wouldn't survive another fight like that, so we tailed it out of there and headed back to town. And, an invisible force shield prevented us from getting back in. I was not surprised. We looked on the map and found a nearby town to hold up. It took a couple days to get there, though, and we were both out of supplies, and neither of us saw any other way, so we got walking. Edgardo and a guy called Squid, just 2 manly men on the road to adventure, or the road to not dying horribly and somehow getting petty revenge, but whatever. Normally, when people traveled, there were random events that could be either good or bad for you. It was really up to how much the mods liked or really cared about you, really. The mods didn't like Squid or Edgardo. If we got something good, they'd find a way to take us away from us. And if we got something bad, they'd find a way to send it into a worse spiral. We saved a lady from bandits on the first day, and by that I mean we kicked the bandits in the nuts, grabbed the lady, and ran like hell. That night, she prison-shanked Squid, took what little stuff we had, and bailed. When I tried to chase her, she poofed, gone. Nito burrito. I really don't know why we kept going after that. It was obvious we were unwanted, so we really should have just quit. I think we were both waiting on the other to give in first, and I didn't want to admit defeat, and I knew Squid didn't want to either. We just had to press on no matter what, even when we met Sword Lightning Guy again. It had been a few days on the road, and we kept getting crapped on. Wolves, rain, another shadow attack. Still don't know how we lived, but we scraped by, either by running away or by sheer luck and winning the fight. One more day of traveling and we'd be at the village. We were so close that we could take it. But then, the dick from the tavern showed up, blocking the road again. Never mind how he got ahead of us, even though we left first, but he was, and we had to take it. Well, if it isn't the wretch from the tavern, and he picked himself up a side dish too. Squid tells him to take a hike and let us through. But this is a toll road, and to pass me, you'll have to pay, let's say, 1,000 gold. Ha! What? We tell him he's full of crap and that nobody has that much money. Oh, what a shame. Then you'll have to pay with your lives. He pulls out his sword and blasts Squid, who somehow powers through it. This gives me a chance to get up close and, well, I've established that I can do basically nothing against this guy. I'm banged up pretty good and fists don't do anything. The only thing I have left is spirit. A metric ass ton of spirit. See, as we were traveling, I was hoarding points. Well, not intentionally. I gained some every day like everyone else, and every time Squid and I killed something, we got a little more. Squid was spending his spirit left and right to use his fire punches, and I wasn't. Since I had overflowing spirit, I had a lot more points than I had any right to have at my level. Even if raw spirit was crap, a lot of crap can still wreck someone's day. And Edgardo had a chance, a slim chance, but it was still better than nothing. I used my battle cry, and I use all my spirit, crouching for an uppercut. Sword guy doesn't care. He actually laughs in my face and doesn't make an attempt to dodge. You're kidding, right? We've been through this. You can't even hurt me. He was the only one laughing. My fist connects with his chin, and so does all that raw spirit. Didn't do nearly as much damage as an elemental attack would, but it was still enough to knock him on his ass, which gave Squid the perfect setup. He jumped on Sword Guy and blew all his spirit too. Where once there had been a face, there was now a smoking crater. Sword Guy died, and 2 underdogs to boot. Predictably, he pitched a fit, and so did the rest of the players. We were murderers and outlaws and generally horrible, horrible people for deciding not to deal with this bullshit anymore. Me and Squid didn't care. We'd earned our first actual victory. Sure, we were nearly dead, defenseless, and still had to make it to the village, but we had won. We had won our one measly fight we had against one of these low-life edgelords, and we still had to worry about Zero and his crap, but god dang, we had got a victory. Zero was some kind of king or tyrant or overlord or whatever, and this village was apparently still in his little authority zone. So when we arrive at the village, guess what special surprise is waiting for us? If you guessed invisible, immune to everything, force shield, congratulations. Give yourself a gold star. For good measure, he teleports in, he taunts us, saying he'll follow us until we're broken and mad, and shut up, man. You're so lame. He cackles and teleports away, and Squid falls to his knees. He's had enough. We've come all this way for nothing. Sure, we can beat someone, but he'd been rezzed and in perfect health the next day. Like, what do we even do? Squid was ready to quit. But Edgardo wouldn't have it. We train, Squid, we train. We hiked up a grassy hill near the village, and we proceeded to beat the ever-loving crap out of each other. You see, whenever you got into a fight, You got a couple of points towards leveling, win or lose. The problem is, most characters couldn't spar against one another, as they'd kill each other pretty quickly. Elemental and attacks and weapons combined had huge damage multipliers, so sparring would quickly end up with people dead. But we didn't have any weapons, and unarmed combat would take days of wailing on someone to actually kill them. The only reason Squid was alright was because of his firepower, so as long as we didn't use any spirit, we could beat each other silly, pass out, wait to heal, level up, and do it all over again. And it was stupid, and it was cheesy, and it pissed everyone off, but boy was it working. Some said the shadows would attack us, but we were just close enough to the village that they couldn't. Even the mods were mad about it. I'm not sure why Zero let us get away with it. I mean, honestly, he could have teleported out there and killed us anytime he wanted, but I guess they didn't see it as anything to actually be worried about. As we leveled up, it was a slow process, and there were better ways of leveling, but this was all we had. Plus, by not using my spirit points for days on end, it gave me another metric ton of spirit points. Edgardo pumped his strength first and evenly distributed the rest, got a power to double the rate at which he gained spirit per day. I had a plan. Squid just buffed his fire fists. It was a good way to go. Now we just had to find somewhere to rest up properly, somewhere to regroup. We couldn't just stay and wail on each other for another level. We had gotten lucky the first few times, but now there was talk of a few other players jumping us, and we had to move. Neither of us knew where we were going or what we were doing. We just hit the road and tried to get as far away from Zero and everyone else as we could. The mods messed with us for the first few days, but eventually they just got bored and left us alone. Sometimes they'd throw a few shadows our way, but it was nothing we couldn't handle. Random events just stopped happening for us. I think it was mainly due to us not really bugging anybody anymore. We were just doing our own thing, RPing by ourselves, so everyone sort of forgot about us. Everyone except for Zero. He was still real pissed about me living this long. I have no idea what his deal was. Maybe it was just that I was a challenge to the authority that he wanted to be. Or maybe he was just a colossal prick. Either way, once we left his authority zone or whatever, he sent one of his lackeys at us. A quick look at his character sheet, and I knew just how much Zero hated us. His name was Golden Harl, and the dude was basically invincible. Magic armor let him resist all elements massively, plus it was super light so he could fly around and do his ninja flipping crap. And he could heal himself completely by spending a couple of spirit points. And his spirit basically refreshed whenever he wanted it to. And it was official. The mods just didn't care. Oh, and we were screwed. All we could do was keep going forward and hope he didn't catch up to us, and he did. He did quick, too. He met us while we were traveling along a gorge and promptly tried to knock me over the side. Golden Harl wasn't messing around. No words, only pain. He meant business. I barely managed to dodge him, which, of course, was met with public outcry. But I was dangerously close to the edge. Squid tried a fire punch with a couple of spear behind it, and no sell. Golden Harl got a free counterattack because, you know what, screw you. He is Golden Harl, and he is just cooler than you. Squid is knocked down, but it gave me an opening. I grabbed Golden Harl by his waist, and I gave him a suplex. My high strength let me get in a few points of damage, and it put me into a better position. It didn't really matter, though, as he was back up and fully healed a second later. I helped Squid up, but we were pretty much already dead. Golden Harl finally spoke up. Any last words? Banzai. He was wide open, and with my war cry and his back to the edge of the cliff, a quick private message to Squid was all it took, and the plan went off like clockwork. Squid ran diversion, going for a high fire punch to the face, and Golden Harl didn't even bother to dodge. He was invincible, after all. But he forgot one thing. Raw spirit can't be resisted, and Edgardo went in for a gut punch with all that built-up spirit from the training and the road. It wasn't enough to kill him. No, Golden Harl could not die, not by a long shot, but it was enough to knock him backwards, and that last step was a doozy. Golden Harl fell into the canyon, and we only stayed long enough to hear the dull thud of him hitting the ground. I could practically hear Zero grinding his teeth to powder as he tattled to the mods, who really didn't care enough to do anything. Surprisingly, I barely heard anything from Golden Harl's player, just a simple PM saying, "Well played." I almost feel sorry that he had to meet his end like that. After that, we were pretty much free to keep going until we hit another village. Zero couldn't get to us here, so no shield and no bullcrap. We could finally rest. Well, maybe we were still broke. And there was a small army of players after us. Apparently, Golden Harl was pretty popular, and by killing him, we were now at the top of everyone's hit list. Fantastic. Squid slept in an alley, and I kept watch. We were trying to get a plan together. We basically had come to a sort of unspoken agreement. Zero was tired... My bad. Squid was tired of Zero's crap, and so was I. We wanted him dead and broken. The problem was that two low-level characters could do basically nothing against the guy. His level was literally listed as an infinity sign on the forum. When Squid took watch, I read over the fluff of the setting, looking for anything that could help us, and I found it in the city of Haven. Haven was the second biggest city in the setting. It was just barely smaller than Zero's place, and it was kind of a big deal, though. You see, it was home to the lore's spirit well. It was a font of power that everyone flocked to. As long as you were in Haven, your spirit points recharged instantly, up to your cap. I, on the other hand, did not have a cap. I still wonder how anybody in their right mind missed this little detail of overflowing spirit. It was just set up so perfectly. Maybe I was being a massive that guy for exploiting this like I did, but I don't really care. Everyone but a few people were being complete jerks to us, and all I wanted was their little club destroyed at this point. It was petty, it was stupid, it was probably hurtful to a couple of people. There were probably some people who only had this little RP thing going for them, and I was about to abuse some carefully written errata to allow myself a victory. But Edgardo had a mission, and a guy called Squid was going to help him see it through. If they ever got to Haven in one piece, that was. I swear, we were the only two people following traveling rules because the horde of players chasing us caught up to us a lot quicker than they should have. We'd had half a day to rest up before we hit the road again. I was useless without a buildup of spirit, and Squid could only fend off so many people before he would die. The only route to Haven was a long, winding road through the mountains, and we'd be ambushed if we tried to set up camp anywhere. It'd take a long time, and time wasn't on our side. So Edgardo had a crazy idea. What if they climbed over the mountains? It was basically suicide, as the random events were especially harsh in that terrain. No one would follow us, though. After all, something might happen to their super special characters if they went through the mountains. Squid was on board, and he brought up an interesting point. The mods were ignoring us. Everyone was so pissed. But in the grand scheme of things, we really hadn't done anything major. We killed a grand total of 2 characters through sheer luck, broken mechanics, and I'd basically given their idol Zero a giant middle finger for simply surviving as long as I can. And Zero could only please the mods so much. So we started climbing, making rolls, and getting through by the skin of our teeth. Every once in a while, a mod would glance over and make stuff hard for us, but overall, we didn't have that much trouble. That's because trouble was waiting for us on the other side of the mountain. From our perch, we got a view of the players coming for us. There was no way we could take them all, and we just waited. If they just waited, they'd get to Haven and wait for us there. And then there was the guy waiting just underneath us. It was Golden Harl, back from the dead. They must have fished him out of the canyon, had him rezzed, or maybe the mods just like him. Maybe he survived the fall and heal. I don't know. But when he saw us, he knew. But he didn't move. He could have just jumped up at any time and murdered us if he wanted to right then and there, but he didn't. After a while, Squid got tired of waiting. He climbed down. Edgardo followed to have his back in case things went south. Squid asked him what he wanted. Golden Harl just wanted to talk. Turns out, he had more to his story than we knew about. Golden Harl was in this RP just as long as Zero was, and frankly, he was tired of Zero's crap. Golden Harl had earned everything he had, and didn't need to resort to whining to the mods to get what he wanted. When he asked us why he tried to kill us, he said that it was either follow Zero's order or get his crap shoved in. In a one-on-one fight, Golden Harl just couldn't compete, mainly because Zero could do whatever the hell he wanted, and no one batted an eye because of his mod powers or whatever cool stuff he had going for him. After we killed him, he was basically done. He was satisfied with the ending he got, but instead, Zero revived him and sent him to kill us again. Golden Harl had other plans, though. Squid was suspicious, but I believed him. I'm not sure why. Maybe I was desperate, but I told him his plan. Technically, I told everyone our plans, as it was on the public threads, and I'm an idiot, so sue me. Golden Harl said he could get us to Haven. His story was over, and he wanted to cease giving a single care about what anyone else would say. He had only one condition. We had to promise that we would kill Zero and end this once and for all. Edgardo and Squid agreed. This was our only shot, and we weren't about to throw it away. A massive crapstorm erupted from the player base as we joined up with Golden Harl. Zero called him a traitor for everything the RP stood for, and everyone made such a fuss that the mods nearly banned the guy. Golden Harl had a bit of sway with the mods too, and he got lucky as hell when they pointed out that his side had really done nothing wrong so far. With the mods appeased, that just left the army of players gunning for us, and the second they hit the road, they were on us. There was no messing around anymore, and the travel rules were basically out of the picture, and the mods weren't going to enforce it. A horde of superpowered loners and misfit charged towards us, flinging fire and lightning and all manner of weapons, all of them driven by their hatred, by their singular hatred of Edgardo, a guy called Squid, and the newly traitorous Golden Harl. Golden Harl weathered the tide, taking kunai and fireballs and shadow spears and whatever else without so much as flinching. Because screw you, he is Golden Harl. Me and Squid ran behind Golden Harl as he cleared the path, getting us to the other side of the army. And as we kept going down our path, Golden Harl stayed behind, covering our escape. To this day, I do not know if he survived or not, but I will never forget his bravery. Since everyone else is doing it, we ignored the travel rules and arrived in Haven near instantly. Zero complained, but no mods were around to hear his cries. There was one last obstacle, though, one last player. A guy named Kane, the Shadowmancer. This guy, he had a power to let him control Shadow. His interpretation of what this actually did was very loose, and since he was in Haven, he could abuse it like nobody's business. As soon as we set foot in the city, me and Squid get instantly paralyzed. We call him on his crap, not sure why. I control the darkness in people's hearts, the darkness in everyone's soul. You are mine. Seriously, man? Screw you. Squid tells him that's not how it works. Kane isn't listening because it's his power, and he says that's how it works, and wah. Meanwhile, I just sit back and ask myself a question. Why can't I hold all this spirit, spend infinite spirit, to break Kane's brace? And I get ready for the whining. How? You can't resist me. The darkness is in everyone's heart. Okay, it's Edgardo's turn to be cheesy. And if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna overdo it. You are wrong. My soul is a shining beacon, filled with a light and a burning hope that no shadow can touch. It is a pinpoint of justice, a shining star that will deliver freedom to the universe. I will root out the darkness, the evil of this land, and no shadow will be spared by my light. Kane cannot comprehend how he is about to lose. He tries his shadow paralysis thing again. No cell. I have infinite spirit. Just who the hell do you think you're dealing with? Banzai! Swift uppercut, battle cry, unlimited raw spirit punch. The plan comes together and Kane gets punched into the sun. Cue everyone losing their crap once again. Squid is okay and we rest up and figure out my next move. My ultra power only works if I'm in Haven, and that does not do us a lot of good. Squid finds out that Haven's unlimited spirit effects lingers for a day after we leave. This is probably because the mods changed the rules once they figured out what I'm about to do. Zero is weeks away in his city. More players are on their way to Haven, and even though I have infinite spirit, I can only use it to punch people, and I will get killed eventually. We're basically stuck. Until I've noticed that we've leveled up. I don't really care about my stats at any point, but there's a power that really catches my eye. Teleportation. I have exactly enough points to purchase it. Normally, I wouldn't have enough spirit to use it, but Haven, so it works. Squid upgrade his fire punch. It's a good way to go. I tell Squid that he can stay behind and it's going to be dangerous and we might not come back. And he tells me that he's with me to the end and that he intends to see this thing through. And that he's got my back no matter what. In the middle of a town square, Edgardo and a guy called Squid shared a sweaty, shirtless, muscly, manly hug for all the world to see. And it was super straight. Actually, we had just been touching so that I could teleport us both at the same time, because there had to have physical contact between the characters, but you know what, shut up. We arrived outside the city, and the shield was still up. Zero mocked us, saying that he was invincible behind his wall and that we can do anything. This shield can withstand 10,000 times the force of anything you could throw at it. People just keep forgetting, though. Raw spirit can't be resisted by anything. Then I'll just have to hit it with 10,001 times harder. Banzai! I still flinch when I remember typing that. It was so cheesy. One more battle cry. Blow my infinite spirit and nothing. Literally nothing. Zero refused to post an actual RP after that. I think he had a stroke or something. He posted plenty in the discussion threads. Everyone did. The entire community spammed the forums, declaring that I should be banned, I should be flayed, I should be hung for my shenanigans. When I tried to log in the next day, I found forums had been shut down due to popular opinion again. I never saw Squid after that. We had never exchanged emails or anything. I like to think that Edgardo is still frozen in that moment in time, with his fist crashing through the shield and connecting with Zero's big stupid face. And Edgardo is smiling. He won. He and Squid and Holt and Golden Harl, they won. Anyway, that's just one of my favorite green texts that I've ever read, and I had it saved on my phone, and while thinking what should I do for Special Guest Sunday, I decided to take up however long that took. So, there's probably not any news for ATT.
I definitely listened to all that. Anyways, there is no news for a Township Tale today. Bye.